When I think about my own creativity, break the seal on those. It really does go back to childhood. I used to love to draw and paint. It's all those seeds that are planted in youth. About 7 or 8 years ago, I just had this impulse that I wanted to try to find a path towards my own creative voice. There was something inside of me that wanted to express myself. I took up the guitar, but it never was easy. It never had flow to it. It was always something that was really to work at it. So fast forward 5 years later, on a perfect Saturday afternoon, I was out on a trail ride on a horse, a mare. We had to ride out of the barn and ride along Peoria, which is a very busy street, 4 lanes of traffic, and she was just perfect. So we did this big loop inside of the park and started heading back to the barn. And just as we approached this tunnel to go back under Peoria, a gentleman walked through there with 3 dogs. And typically on a trail, the hierarchy is horseback riders, bicyclists, runners, walkers. And that's like the yielding order. He, for whatever reason, just kept, moving along on the trail. And so I decided to step her off the trail. As soon as I got her off the trail and stopped her, she dropped her left shoulder, which threw me to the inside. She spun to the inside, which threw my balance off, and then she bucked. Dr. Duhan comes in and he sits down with me and says, I'm just going to tell you straight what's going on. He said, you've broken what is called a facet, which are the little wings on the back of your vertebrae. And he said, there's a piece of that that's floating pretty close to your spine. So you're at a real critical point of, where you could make a mistake, you could fall, sneeze hard, you could paralyze yourself. You're at that kind of a position. And he says, what I recommend is a surgery, and I think what you need to do is have a spinal fusion. Probably one of the most life-changing events, not because so much of the injury, but because of where it led in terms of the path. And what I found when I started making work was that all I was interested in was abstraction. I had no interest in trying to paint a horse or an apple or a tree or anything else. It was all about just expressing more emotion. And something that I realized fairly early on was that I was doing this expressive form of painting as a form of healing. I decided when I did those first 1 or 2 paintings on these little tiny 6x6 canvases, just to show them on Facebook, just for fun. And the feedback I was getting from that was really positive. The major painting I had in there was a 48 by 48 painting, the largest I'd ever made. And that painting won the People's Choice Award of the night. So it was just like a real affirmation that this is something that I really should be doing. This painting is called Returning the Muse. I've begun to understand that although in the past I've always used my voice to communicate or to share, my process is really expressing internal feelings, relating experiences. The art showed me that I am supposed to be a visual communicator. So you see a body here. I'm trying to be really vulnerable. You see these wings, one here. Really where the power of my painting comes from is sharing my internal process and just expressing outward. And that's why I say I paint from the inside out. I had someone reach out to me last year. She had read my story in one of the local community newspapers. She said, well, I have an opening coming up for a show at Parker Adventist Hospital. And I said, well, do you understand the connection I have to Parker Adventist? She said, no. I said, well, I told her the story. Parker Adventist has a healing gallery. Going back to the hospital where the journey all began and being able to bring my art back into a healing gallery for other people to serve other people. Dr. Duhan came down one day, we took some photographs together and caught up. This is really done for them. I mean, I'm really doing it as a way of my own healing for sure, self-discovery as I continue down this journey as an artist. But ultimately I'm doing it to want to share it with people, to impact them in a positive way.